أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم صدق الله العلي العظيم صلى الله عليه وسلم
اللهم صل على آل محمد.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Condolences on this sad occasion upon which we commemorate the Shahadat of our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Imam alayhi salatu wassalam was born in the year 232 after Hijrah, and his Shahadat takes place in the year 260 after Hijrah. The easy math tells you that Imam alayhi salatu wassalam's entire lifespan was 28 years. And of course, 28 years is not a very long lifespan by any stretch of the imagination. But nonetheless, Imam was someone who was faced with challenges that no other Imam had to face. And while I'll get into more of the seerat of our 11th Imam, I want to spend a few minutes upon this ayat that I had recited for you. Ayat number 11 from chapter 13, Surah Ra'd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma bi qawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. That indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change the state of a people unless they change their own selves and their own souls. Meaning, no change will come upon you unless there's a determination to make it happen. Unless you yourself want that change to take place. There are so many changes that happen in our lives when we make a transition from one country to another country, from one state to another state, from one city to another city, from one workplace to another workplace, for children from school to another school. A lot of these changes happen, and sometimes we're forced to do so. We adapt, and we live with it. Children may not like it, but that's how it works. But if you're not willing to accept this change, then it could be detrimental. Imagine your child was liking the school and the environment and the place, and then you had to move for one reason or another, and then they don't like it anymore. They're forced into going into this place, this school, or this city, or living in those conditions, but they don't like it. That lack of enthusiasm could be detrimental to a child. Hence this ayat, Allah says, Allah does not change the state of a people unless they change themselves. You need to be able to accept it. You need to be able to adapt and to be able to apply. Otherwise, it's merely hoping and wishing something of a change will happen. Similar goes when it comes to your country, when it comes to your state, when it comes to anything of that sort where you want to bring about some sort of reform. That reform cannot happen unless there is determination about it. I can give you many examples. One is Inqilab that took place in Iran that came close to 45 years ago. And there's so much discussion about it, just using it as an example over here, that if it wasn't for the determination of the people and their willingness to bring about this change, it would not have happened. And for it to last this long while struggling, continuing, because determination was there, and they had the objective in front of them. The reason I'm talking about all of this is usually tonight marks the last Majlis in the Ayyam-e-Azha. Ayyam-e-Azha, which began from the first day of Muharram al-Haram, extended until the 8th day of the month of Rabiul Awwal. Tonight being the night, Shab of 8th of Rabiul Awwal, marking the Shahadat of our 11th Imam. This is where Azha comes to an end. But we don't like to call it that Azha is ending. Azha never ends. Majlis of Imam Hussain never ends. This is not a hadith, but this is a maqula which is so true. Kullu yawmin Ashura wa kullu ardhin Karbala. It's not a hadith. But whoever said this is a beautiful word. That every land is Karbala and every day is Ashura. And therefore, Rawayat from the Prophet and other Aimmayathar, Inna li qatl al-Hussain hararatan fi qulub al-mu'minin la tabrudu abadan. Indeed, there's this energy, there's this heat, there's this hararat from the shahadat of Sayyid al-Shuhada in the hearts of mu'minin that will never extinguish. So may it be 2.5 months, it's not going to extinguish in 2.5 months. But the reason we have 2.5 months, or 2 months and 8 days, is because there's shahadat after shahadat lined up. I don't know when this silsila began, but it's a good habit, it's a good practice. In many cultures, they go up till the shahadat of Rasulullah, wafat of Rasulullah, and shahadat of second Imam, 28th of Safar. That's when gham ends for them. What does it mean that gham ends? It does not mean that they're no longer going to be sad on the shahadat of Imams, no. It means now they can go back to having their life in a way where they're able to celebrate joyous occasions as well. You put aside all your joyous occasions for 2.5 months, and you put it aside for a good cause, and that is for Imam Hussain. But of course, it's not practical that it'll be all year long and throughout your life. There are joyous occasions that come about as well. One of the riwayat mentioned that this is the day upon which the heads of the enemies of Shuhada Karbala were brought to Ahl-e-Haram and our 4th Imam, and for the first time Imam smiled. You could see the smile on the face of Imam. It was on this 9th day of Rabiul Awwal. And so therefore, there are many names that are given to the 9th of Rabiul Awwal. One is Eid al-Zahra, one is Farhatul Zahra, one is Eid al-Shaja, and others include where some are Urdu names and some are Farsi names. They're not unanimous. Taj Poshi, Imam Zamana, and all those things. Well, we realize that there's no Taj Poshi in Imamat. Taj Poshi is done for those who are worldly leaders, the kings. उनके सर पे ताज रखा जाता है, coronation होती है. You know, when the queen died and the celebrations or the commemorations, and then after that the new king was introduced and the crown was placed on his head. Those things happen in the worldly manner, in the worldly events, when a new king comes into place, not in Imamat. So there's no Taj Poshi. But of course, it is not being used in a literal sense. It is figure of speech. That the Taj of Imamat goes from 8th Imam to the Imam of our time. From 11th Imam to the Imam of our time. That's what it probably means. So all these different names are given to this particular day. But there are certain practices that come about, which I will get to in a second. There's so many things that I wanted to talk about tonight. Number one, we'll go step by step. The ayat that I recited and the link to that ayat with which what I want to say tonight is 2 months of Azah, 2 months of Majalis. Some of you attended more than 70 majalis. If you look at 2 months and 8 days, that's 70 days. Some of you may have attended 70 majalis, some of you may have attended even more than that. Majlis a day, for example. Although within Majlis a day, you might be attending 3 or 4 majalis in over the weekend, for example. So it, balances out. You may have attended 40 majalis, 50 majalis, 60 majalis. And of course, this Majlis is, there are dual purposes of it, right? Likewise, all the other ibadat, where they're dual purpose, Majlis also has the dual purpose. One purpose of this ibadat that we perform on a daily basis is what? It's hukm ilahi. It's an obligation, wajib, the way salat is performed on a daily basis. Nobody questions why do we pray every single day. Why is it wajib from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why do we repeat the same things? It's wajib. So you look at Majlis Adha from the ibadat aspect. Because Majlis is ibadat for us as well. We come here to perform this ibadat, albeit mustahab. It's ibadat nonetheless. And with this khulus and ibadat, we commemorate these majalis. Why it is ibadat? You know the hadith. Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Zayyinu majalisakum bidhikri Ali ibn Abi Talib. Give zinat to your majalis with the dhikr of Ali. When you do the dhikr of Ali and Ali in a majlis, it becomes what? Ibadat. Why the hadith says, فَإِنَّ ذِكْرَهُ ذِكْرِي. When you remember Ali, you remember me. وَذِكْرِي ذِكْرُ اللَّهِ. When you remember me, you remember Allah. وَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ ibadat. And when you remember Allah, it is ibadat. Therefore, dhikr Ali becomes dhikr of Allah and it is ibadat. So that's what you're doing. And Allah said in Quran, مَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I did not create an insan and jinn except that they may do what? Worship me. So our maqsad khirqat is ibadat. This majlis is ibadat. What else do you want? But therefore we see that so that's one purpose of this majlis. Just like salat, it's wajib. Majlis, it is mustahab at best. What is the second purpose of this salat? You pray, you offer the salat on a daily basis just because it's wajib? Or there are other things attached with it? Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. You focus on the philosophy of this salat. If you were to tell anyone, I pray, and there's nothing really I get out of this salat, and I don't really know what the purpose of this salat is, I'm just doing it because I was taught this way, this salat will not extend that long in your life. Because you know that there's a reason why you're praying. Aside from its wujub, that's the philosophy of it. And that's why if you develop that sense in your salat, you look forward to it. You'll anticipate when will be the time of salat, when I can get to pray. So the dual purpose is what? Salat keeps you away from fahsha and munkar. The second purpose of this majlis as well is what? While majlis may be mustahab for you, the second dual purpose of this majlis is that it gives you muhabbat of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It is a means of instilling the love of Ahl-e-Bait. It is a means of doing the dhikr of Ahl-e-Bait. With that dhikr, what happens? The way their dhikr is, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ. They are away from rijs. Their dhikr is going to keep you away from rijs as well. That's the purpose of this majlis. You attend this majlis with the niyat of ibadat, with the niyat of shukr ilahi. Why Amir al-Mu'mineen said, Oh Allah, ma abadtuka tam'an fil jannah, wala khawfan min an-nar, bal wajadtu ahlan lil ibadah. Oh Allah, I didn't worship you because I was greedy for Jannat, or I was afraid of Jahannam. I worshipped you because I found you worthy of ibadah. So I worshipped you. Same thing we can say over here. Majlis Adha, inshallah, when we get to that khulus. We did attend this majlis because with this majlis we are guaranteed Jannat. We didn't not attend this majlis because without attending it we'll go to Jahannam. We attend this Majlis Adha because it is worthy to be attended. that shukr, the aspect of being thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gave us that opportunity. We are grateful that we're able to be part of this azah of Sayyid al-Shuhada. So the 2.5 months of Majlis, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin. No change will come in you unless you bring about this change in yourself. You need to start. You need to make sure you're able to accept this reform. Imam Hussein left Karbala, left Medina with a slogan. إني لم أخرج أشرا ولا بطرا ولا مفسدا ولا ظالما إنما خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي أريد أن أمر بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر وأسير بسيرة جدي وأبي. He laid it out from the very beginning. And you hear this hadith every year, once at least in all of Ayyam. That Imam Hussein said from the very beginning the reason behind his khuruj, reason behind his rise, so that nobody has any ambiguity why I'm leaving. Nobody should be giving guesses that Imam left because of this reason, Imam left because of that reason. No, I'm telling you why I'm doing the khuruj. Before you start skepticism, I'm leaving to bring reform. Urido, Islam. I want to bring Islam. With the virtue of the Shahadat of Sayyid al-Shuhada, we have this Majlis. What should we be having in this Majlis? Islam. Imam set out to attain Islam for his ummah. I remember posed this question in some Majlis that I was reciting. Was Imam able to achieve his objectives in the 61st year after Hijrah? Was Imam able to attain the reform in the society in the 61st year after Hijrah? Was Imam able to perform Amr bil Maruf, Nahi anil Munkar? Was Imam able to preach the Sirat of Ali and his grandfather in 61st year Hijrah? No. It didn't happen in 61st year Hijrah. Had it happened, Imam would have survived. Had it happened, Imam would not have been martyred. Had it happened after the Shahadat of Imam, his family would not have been made captives. They would not have been battered around the way they were. They would not have been treated the way they were treated. To which fourth Imam wept for many years. Asham, Asham, Asham. So Imam did not achieve any of these lofty goals in the 61st year after Hijrah. But we should not make that Imams, those goals of Imams are still not being achieved in the Majlis al-Zafars. We should not become the obstacle and hindrance in the achievement of the goals of Sayyid al-Shuhada, those lofty goals, 14 centuries later. When we come to this Majlis, remind yourself of Imam's aims and objectives why he was departing. He departed so that you and I would be able to do our Islam. First thing about it, إِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لِطَلَبِ الْإِسْلَامِ. My khuruj is for Islam. And we all know the word innama. If Shias don't know what innama is, then who does? Right? Innama yuridullah. Innama gives you hasr. Innama limits everything within this spectrum. Imam said, I left only to bring about a reform in my community. We see so much chaos. Ayyam Azhar come, and there's controversy on top of a controversy. When we should be focusing and directing all our attentions toward the cause of Imam, we're pulled into this side or that controversy and this controversy. Someone says something from the mimbar, now that is laklakai zaman, and it's all over the world. Well, we live in a social media world. Things go around very quickly. In the next 5 minutes, I can say something most controversial, and it'll go viral, hopefully. But there's no need for that. Someone says something, and if they said they made a mistake, I guess that is it. That closes the chapter, you move forward. How we have lost the integrity and ability to forgive and forget. Right? If a person made a mistake and apologized, that should be End of the story, move forward. There's so many things that came about. I don't need to refresh your minds. Now, when certain things are said, and they are wrong and against our aqidah, it has to be clarified. If the individual who says those things does not clarify, then he's held accountable. Until that moment where nobody's bigger than the dhikr of Ahl-e-Bait. Nobody's bigger than this institution. And we're not infallible. We're not going to be saying that anything that I say from this minbar is absolutely correct. I make a mistake. And believe me, not that I've made many mistakes from this minbar. Made many blunders. It is your buzurgi that you listen and you forgive and forget. It's your buzurgwari. Otherwise, Bande Najis have made many mistakes. So therefore, something was said in the beginning of Ayyam, where na'udhu billah min dhalik, that Imams made bay'at to the Khulafa. Now in Sahih Bukhari, there's a riwayat which says that Amirul Mu'mineen paid allegiance to the first Khalifa after 6 months. And some of those riwayat made into our books of ahadith as well. Al-Kafi, volume 8, has these ahadith. Similarly, riwayat mentioned that, and I'm just repeating it, and I'll give you the answer at the end. This is also a problem. You got to be able to hear the entire context of what is being said instead of just pulling out that one sentence. So you got to be careful with your words. Na'udhu billah min dhalik, that Imam, fourth Imam, paid allegiance to Yazid. Na'udhu billah min dhalik. That Yazid came to Medina and Imam paid allegiance. No, Yazid never came to Medina. Had he come to Medina, even then Imam would not have paid. Or, for example, the eighth Imam wrote a letter and he said to Ma'mun al-Rashid, Na'udhu billah min dhalik, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. While Imam knows that there's only one Amir al-Mu'mineen, that is the Zat of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wa salam.
Allah.
Now, only one line answer to all this. Someone said this, they should have come forward and apologized for what they had said. Because this is wrong, this is false. We have books of ahadith with hundreds and thousands of ahadith in it. Bihar al-Anwar itself has more than 100,000 ahadith. Al-Kafi, more authentic than Bihar, definitely. Yaqub al-Kulaini collected 16,099 ahadith in it. 16,000. Not all are sahih. He said it himself. Not all are sahih. I'll answer the question, why did he collect then all of these which are not sahih, some of them? But because, let me just clarify this point so that it's not lost. So in volume 8, this hadith is there, that Imam, na'udhu billah, paid allegiance to the first Khalifa, or na'udhu billah, fourth Imam paid allegiance to Yazid. And eighth Imam said, Ya Amirul Mu'mineen to Ma'mun al-Rashid. Answer from Quran. Quran gives us a criteria. أَفَمَنْ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْحَقِّ أَحَقُّ أَنْ يُهْدَى أَمَّنْ لَا يَهْدِي إِلَّا أَنْ يُهْدَى. What does it say? Those أَفَمَنْ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْحَقِّ, those who guide towards hidayat, are they more worthy of guidance than those who themselves are in need of hidayat? If there are two people in front of you, one guided and one who's in need of guidance, who would you go after? The one who's guided. You're not going to go after the one who's still in need of guidance. Or maybe give you a better example. If you need your heart surgery done, are you going to go in front of a proven cardiologist or the one who's still studying in this, medical school? You're going to take your chances with the cardiologist because he's done it before, as opposed to a student who's still studying the art. Tomorrow he may become a top surgeon or whatnot, but right now, who are you going to go to? The one who already possesses the knowledge, as opposed to the one who's on the way of learning. Quran gives you the criterion that afdal cannot bow in front of mafdul. When Quran gave us that criterion, then no Imam can bow in front of anyone who's ghayr Imam. Case closed. That's all there is to it. Hadith, we have a criteria for this hadith as well. If the hadith goes against the ayat of Quran, فَضْرِبُوا إِلَى الْجِدَارِ, literally it says, throw it against the wall. Has no value whatsoever. The second question, then why do we have these hadiths? This undermines the entire book of Al-Kafi, doesn't it? If it has this hadith in it, then it undermines the entire book. Why does it have this hadith which says, Amirul Mu'mineen, na'udhu billah, or fourth Imam, na'udhu billah, or eighth Imam, na'udhu billah, said these things? Why do we even have these ahadith then? It undermines the entire integrity of Muhammad Yaqub al-Kulaini, for example. He said, well, I'm not going to believe anything in Al-Kafi anymore because it has such a hadith. Let me tell you, there's another hadith in Al-Kafi, but not everything has to be said from the mimbar. But I'll say it anyway. That the world is resting on the horn of an animal. And when the animal shifts it from the one horn to the other horn, that's when we have the earthquakes. You think in the 21st century, anyone's going to believe in that science? The children are sitting in front of me, they'll be laughing. What are you talking about? You know, we have hadith in Al-Kafi. But do I need to explain this hadith to you? Does it really need it to be explained? What Muhammad Yaqub al-Kulaini did was to collect all the akhbar that reached to Imam Masum without verifying that the authenticity of it. His job was to collect. Your job was, or the ulama that came after, was to go ahead and pick which are right and which are wrong from it. Marhum Allama Zishan al-Jabadi Allah Maqamuhu said this in reference to collection of hadith. Why do we have 100,000 in Bihar? Why do we have 16,000 in Al-Kafi? We're not all Sahih al-Sanad. By the way, their books which says Sahih, Sitta, the 6 correct books, there are many hadiths which they themselves are challenging. But nonetheless, they still call it to be Sahih. We don't call it Sahih because there are unauthentic hadiths in it. Allah said what? He said if you grew up in India and Pakistan, your mom will send you to buy some lentils or rice or something, 1 pound or 2 pounds, and you buy it, it comes open, right? They'll measure it, they'll weigh it, and give you 2 pounds of whatever that your lentils you were buying. In that shopping bag, in that plastic bag that you were bringing it, imagine if it ripped. All the lentils fell on the ground. Now you're still away from home, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna pick and choose every single lentil and not the garbage that comes with it, or you're just gonna pick everything up, take it home, and then do the cleaning? He said, our ulama, Kulaini and Majlisi, this is what they did. They picked up everything that was there which was associated with Imam somehow. It was your duty to go ahead and pick and choose and clear out the ones which are authentic and the ones that are not authentic. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And then other things were said as well which may have been taken out of context. But the problem is, with these controversies that are created every single year, if it's not this, then it's some sort of new type of matam that is introduced every year that we've never seen or heard of before. Now, because we live in a social media world, you see these new, genuine matams that are coming about. Well, I'm not saying it with any tamaskhur or making fun or mocking anything. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept everything that everyone is doing for the azab Sayyid al-Shuhada. But आप मटका लेके अपने सर पे मारे मातम कह के या हुसैन कहते हुए, ये कहाँ का मातम? Worse than that, you've seen him taking a gun and shooting in the name of Imam Hussein. Everyone around is raising the sound of Ya Hussein, while this person shoots another person. Just enough so that they don't die, but nonetheless inflicts this bullet into the body of this person. In the name of what? Imam Hussein. Now these things are making waves as well. As I said, I'm not mocking any of these things. I'm not saying this is right or this is wrong. Of course, you are the judge of it, and may Allah accept from everyone as we keep on repeating that. But What does that lead to? We are now defending all the time. Oh, this is not part of Allah, this is not part of Allah, that is something cultural, this is something cultural, we don't have anything to do. Now we're constantly on the back foot responding to people, or those who are challenging these things that are making their way into Majlis Allah. Instead, what we should be doing, what Imam Hussain said, إِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لِطَلَبِ الْإِصْلَاحِ. This is the best time for us to come together. We are already in this solemn mood to come and pay tribute to Imam Hussain on this tragedy. And because you are in this mood, you're able to then take the Islah which is provided from the Mimbar. When a person is vulnerable, when a person is feeling the grief, at that moment you tell them something, they say, yes, I'll take it. Someone who's lost someone, a loved one, and they're vulnerable at that time, you give them suggestion, you give them advice at that time, they take it from you. I don't want to be speaking in front of the psychologists and all those. These are some of the methods that are utilized. You take advantage of their vulnerability in a positive way. The Islah could have been done from this member, but instead, we got ourselves busy with the controversies and trying to respond to those controversies. Unimaginable scenes were seen in the last week or so in the Azadari of Karachi. Unimaginable scenes. Where, whether it be Nishtar Park, whether it be... Now it's far away from us, so it doesn't really, concern us, but it does concern us. Because if it made it over there, it'll make it over here too. In Azadari, in Nishtar Park, or in Madir, in other places, I'm sure all of you get the news. We're so close community, we get the news all the time. Where people are stopping someone from speaking, or is speaking ill against this person or that person, and all that stuff is going on. Well, maqsad of this azah was what? To bring everyone together. Well, one word or the other word, people are driven away from it, and slogans are given, and all that happens. And unfortunately, when Ayyam Azah end, as we have made it to be that 8th of Rabiul Awwal is the last of the Ayyam Azah. When Ayyam Azah end, unfortunately, you're waiting to see more controversy will come when it comes to 9th of Rabiul Awwal. Because we get to celebrate 9th of Rabiul Awwal. 9th of Rabiul Awwal, as I mentioned in the beginning, is Eid al-Zahra, Farhat al-Zahra, Eid al-Shuja, Tajposhi Imam Zaman. You give all these titles to it. That's okay. Anyone wants to go ahead and celebrate, that's fine. But 8th Imam is now in grief of the Shahadat, or 12th Imam is in grief of the Shahadat of his father. And here the celebrations of him, for example, Tajposhi, I mentioned that before. From this aspect, we should be celebrating the 11th of Muharram as well, after the Shahadat of Imam Hussain. So no, that's different because 4th Imam is not Imam of our time. 12th Imam is Imam of our time. So Tajposhi is done, for example. But that's okay. There's nobody stopping you from celebrations. Celebrations should happen. But the celebration should happen within those limits which are set by Ahl-e-Bait. You think the mahafil that happen, Imam of your time will come and sit in it? Let me tell you, Pesh Imam won't go sit in those mahafil. Let alone Imam. Salawat Muhammad. And then some Zakirin will come out with this hadith too. That, and they'll read this hadith, that Marfu al-Qalam, Rufi'a al-Qalamu an ummati. That for 3 nights, 3 days, you are azad to do whatever you want. You're free to say whatever you want. And there's no guna or sin upon you. What is the matter? And this is the same hadith which you find in big books like Biharul Anwar. What does it say? وَأُمِرْتُ وَأَمَرْتُ الْكِرَامَ الْكَاتِبِينَ أَنْ يَرْفَعُوا الْقَلَمَ عَنِ الْخَلْقِ كُلِّهِمْ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ مِنْ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. That I have given order to Kiram al-Katibin to do what? أَنْ يَرْفَعُوا الْقَلَمَ, to lift the qalam literally Meaning there's no taklif upon you for the next 3 nights. No sin will be written from you. No matter what you do, nothing will be written. وَلَا أَكْتُبْ لَهُمْ عَلَيْهِمْ شَيْئًا مِنْ خَطَايَاهِمْ كِرَامَةً لَكَ وَلِوَسِيِّكَ. Don't write any of their sins. Don't write any of their mistakes. For you, O Ali, and your progeny. Because of them. Meaning what? Rasulullah is giving us permission to commit sins now. And therefore, because the permission is given, because of this hadith, in the mahfil of 9th of Rabiul Awwal, we're going to go ahead and do whatever we want. We're going to say whatever we want. And we're going to cross all the limits. We're going to cross all the limits. And I'm sure many of you have attended such mahfil. Celebrate. But bear in mind that Imam of your time is also present with you. Would you want Imam of your time to be present in those mahfil where you're saying things and doing things? There's one thing to do, tawalla and tabarra. This is beyond tawalla and tabarra. So therefore, this hadith is against the tenets of the religion of Islam. This hadith goes the main ayat of Quran. What is the hadith saying? You can do whatever you want to. Say whatever you want to. No sin will be written upon you. I've ordered the angel who ascribed the actions to not write any sin for the people for 3 days. Bihar al-Anwar, volume 31, page 124. And also in volume 93, page 353. Both places, the same hadith is there. Let me go ahead and look at the reference to it. But it goes against the ayat of Quran. وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرٍ يَرَى وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرٍّ يَرَى مَا لِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ لَا يُغَادِرُ صَغِيرَةً وَلَا كَبِيرًا. The person will say on the day of judgment, what is wrong with this book? It has not left out any small or big, good or bad from it. Everything is in it. So precise the accountability that you find in this book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or this Kitab-e-Amal, for example. And it goes against the other ahadith, the authentic ahadith of Ahl-e-Bait, where Imam says, مَا مِن نَكْبَةٍ تُصِيبُ الْعَبْدِ إِلَّا بِذَنْبٍ. No calamity befalls except by sinning. So there cannot be any day where you're allowed to go ahead and sin, for example. Imam said to the extent, لَا تُنَالُ وَلَايَتُنَا إِلَّا بِالْعَمَلِ وَالْوَرَى. You want to get to our walayat? You want our love? It can only be attainable with wara, with taqwa, with safeguarding yourself, not without it. So this hadith goes against all the tenets of the religion. If anything, there is a hadith called Rufi al-Qalam. But that is in reference to nabaligh children, or those who are not sane, or someone who's sleeping. Because when you're sleeping, there's no taklif upon you. When a child is insane, there's no taklif upon them. When a child is nabaligh, there's no taklif upon them. No sin is written for them. There is a hadith of Rufi al-Qalam, but not for, mashallah, adults. So this is, again, something which we have to warn. Because that happens right after the Ayyam Azha end. Sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq said, is that 2 groups of people have heard Islam the greatest throughout history. 2 groups of people. 2 types of people broke our back. These are the words of Imam. 2 types of people broke our back. Jahilun muqaddasun wa alimun bighayri taqwa. That jahil, that ignorant who's seen to be very pious and muqaddas. And that alim, that knowledgeable who has no piety, who lacks piety, is repulsive. These 2 have heard our religion a great deal. I can't emphasize more than what I already have done, but we cannot bid farewell to Azaf Sayyid al-Shuhada. It's not something for bidding farewell. Inna liqatl Hussein hararatan fi qulub al-mu'minin la tabrud. In some riwayat, lan tabruda. Lan for nafiye abad, that it will never be extinguished. So you can't put it aside and you can't put it away. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Few words about 11th Imam. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, his life is very challenging, as I mentioned earlier. There are a few reasons which makes Imam's life to be very challenging. Number one, Imam ﷺ was the last Imam who was physically present in front of his ummah. He's the last Imam who's physically there. After him, the next Imam is not going to be physically there for a long time. Imam is also the father of the last and the 12th Imam, and about whom people had known that he will be the last, and with him will Qiyamah take place. Now the protection of Imam comes into play, all those things. Imam is present in Samarra since a very young age, when he was only 6 or 7 years old. That adds on to the hassasiyat and the challenge of our 11th Imam. Shias are spread out. They're not concentrated in one place anymore. You have Shias in Baghdad, you have Shias in Qom, you have Shias in Nishapur, you have Shias in Hijaz, all over the place. It's not like there's a concentration of Shias in one particular place where Imam can rely upon them. That is not a factor. And then Imam faces 3 of the weakest of the Abbasid Khulafa. Weakest of all the Abbasid Khulafa. And that is also the Mashiach of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at how Allah works in this mysterious way. The 3 tyrant rulers that are present in the time of our 11th Imam are the weakest of all. You have Mu'taz, you have Muhtadi, and you have Mu'tamid. All of them are the weakest. Regarding Mu'taz, is mentioned that he wasn't really running the government. It was his mother who was running the shots, calling the shots. He had no control. So these 3 were the weakest. Why were they weakest? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to prevent and preserve Imam of the time. So you want someone there, or not that he wants someone there, he made them to be the weakest of all. It wasn't Mutawakkil. It wasn't Mansur Dawaniqi. It wasn't those who were staunch, against Ahl-e-Bait. They were weak, pretty weak at that time. All of these are factors that Imam ﷺ has to deal with in order to prevent and protect our 12th Imam. The reason why we stand up when we hear the name of our 12th Imam, or we put our hands on our head? This was started in the time of our 8th Imam. Whenever he would mention the name of our 12th Imam, he would put his hand on his head and lower his head, and Imam would stand up. This is the tarbiyat of ulama. This is the tarbiyat of scholars and the tarbiyat of Aymayatar. How do you live in the time of the Ghaib Imam? Very quickly, 2 ahadith that I wanted to share and I'll conclude. One is through Uthman ibn Sa'id. You know who Uthman ibn Sa'id is? Is one of the 4 naibs of Imam Zamana, who also was the wakil of 11th Imam. Uthman says what? Uthman comes to our 11th Imam with 40 people, and before he could even ask Imam Yazdahum, 11th Imam, a question, Imam called his son, our 12th Imam, from the room. He came outside. Imam said to him, قَالَ لَهُمْ هَذَا إِمَامُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِي. This is your Imam after me. He said, oh Imam, how did you know that we had come to ask you this question? هَذَا إِمَامُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِي. This is your Imam after me. وَخَلِيفَتِي عَلَيْكُمْ. And he'll be the Khalifa upon you. أَطِيعُوهُ. Obey him. Don't look at his young age. أَطِيعُوهُ. فَلَا تَتَفَرَّقُوا مِنْ بَعْدِي. And do not be scattered, and do not go into any sort of disunity after me. Guess what? Imam is not saying this only to Uthman ibn Sa'id, he's saying to all of us. That when 12th Imam goes into occultation and ghaibat, فَلَا تَتَفَرَّقُوا. Do not get scattered, do not be misled, do not fall into different categories within Tashayyuh. That these are so and so, these are so and so, these are Mawadis, these are Malangis, these are Wahhabis, these are this and these are that. We have divided Madhab al-Tashayyu into different categories. No, don't divide yourselves. This is the wasiyat of 11th Imam. فَلَا تَتَفَرَّقُوا مِنْ بَعْدِي فَتَهْلِكُوا فَتَهْلِكُوا فِي أَدْيَانِكُمْ أَمَانِكُمْ أَمَا إِنَّكُمْ لَن تَرَوْهُ. Why? If you go into this, disunity, you'll destroy yourself. Ayat of Quran tell you the same thing. Whenever there's discord, what does it lead to? It leads to breaking apart and making you weak. You become weak when you have disunity amongst yourself. But Imam says something towards the end. He said, أَمَا إِنَّكُمْ لَن تَرَوْهُ بَعْدَ يَوْمِكُمْ هَذَا. You will not see him after today. This is the last time you're seeing your Imam of the time. He will be Imam after me. This is the last time you're seeing him. You won't see him after me. Similar incident happens with Ahmad ibn Ishaq, who comes to see 11th Imam. And Ahmad had the same question. Imam called 12th Imam to come out. When he came out, Imam said to him the same thing, that this will be your Imam after me. Ahmad ibn Ishaq said, Imam, if the child can show us something, as min babe, bayyana or mu'jiza or something that will make us believe that he's the Imam after me. Look, people at that time had doubts, let alone 14 centuries later. This is where he says that 12th Imam spoke bilisanin fasihin arabiyyin. Imam spoke in an eloquent Arabic language. Ana baqiyatullah fi ardh. I am the baqiyatullah on this earth, and I am the one antaqim muntaqimu a'da'ihi fi ardh. And I'm the one who's going to go ahead and take the intiqam from the Ada on this earth as well. So these are the two proofs that 12th Imam's, Shahadat is given, or the witness is provided in regards to 12th Imam. 11th Imam lived a very difficult life. 28 years, and then from the wiladat of our 12th Imam, from the year 255 until 260, his own Shahadat. Imam ﷺ went through a lot of challenges. I had brought some other ahadith to explain some of the merits from our 11th Imam, but time does not give me the permission. Let me just recap what was said. I cited this ayat from Surah Ra'd. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah does not change the state of a people unless they change it themselves. You need to step up, show determination, ready to accept the wilayat and ready to accept the reform. We all need reform. And therefore, this should be the mansha, and this should be the reason, along with the fadail and the masaib of Ahl-e-Bait, that there's islah amongst us. This institution, no matter how much we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're blessed with this institution of azadari. So therefore it is utmost importance to all of us and our duty that we protect it from any inhiraf that comes about. Any deviation that makes its way towards this azab, we need to keep it out of it, because that only makes it weak. Therefore, your iman might be strong, but you got to make sure that the children that you're leaving behind, their iman also remains steadfast as well. 11th Imam did not have to prove to Uthman ibn Sa'id or Ahmad ibn Ishaq who the 12th Imam would be. They should have just believed in Imam, but he still had to show it. That's the reason today many people don't have belief in 12th Imam. Some believe that he will come one day. Some believe that he will be born one day. We are the only madhab that believe that he's alive for 1100 years and he will reappear one day. We're the only madhab. Therefore that has to be inculcated and challenged or provided to our case. 11th Imam, 28 years his shahadat takes place. It is mentioned that Mu'tamid gave Imam ﷺ through some family members the zahar. Imam ﷺ was poisoned like all the other Imams were poisoned as well. Azararo, this is the last of the Majlis of this Ayyam Azhar. That began from the first day of Muharram al-Haram, and we come to this. You gave your girya, your zari, your weeping And every drop of from your eyes is inshallah preserved by Janab Sayyidah. And you get the best of the ajr for it, inshallah. That is the reason 8th Imam said what to Shabib? Yabna Shabib, in kunta bakiyan lishay fabki lil Husayn. And the Shabib, if you want to cry and weep for something, then weep for Husayn. Then he gave the reason, فَإِنَّهُ ذُبِهَا كَمَا يُذْبَهُ الْكَبْشُ. Imam was killed the way the sheep are slaughtered. And not just Imam was killed that way, 18 from the family members were also killed in the same exact fashion. La Shabihun, there was nobody like them in all of the universe that were martyred in front of me. Yabna Shabib, if you want to weep for anyone, weep for Hussein. 11th Imam, 28 years of life, he succumbs to the poison that was given to him. Not many days of Rabiul Awwal passed by. In the year 260, the beginning few days of Rabiul Awwal, when Imam was poisoned, it is mentioned that on the 8th of Rabiul Awwal, Imam ﷺ left this world. When the Shadat of Imam takes place, while Hassan Askari is mazloom, I'd say, oh Mola, your tajheez and takfeen was done. I'd say, oh Mola, while you only lived for 28 years and you lived the life of mazloomiyat, your son, who was only 5 years old, came to your janazah while someone tried to lead your janazah prayer, said to them, stop, this is my haqq and this is my right. He offered Salatul Janazah upon you. There's one Imam who's Hassan Askari, whose Janazah was performed by his son. There's another Imam who's Hassan Mushtaba, who was also poisoned, who was throwing blood from his mouth, and he did not want his sister to see that. Imam Hussein covered it. Hussein wept for him, shed a few tears, until Hassan Mushtaba said what? La yawma ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. There's no day like your day, O Aba Abdullah. You don't need to weep for me, O Hussein. The tragedy that you will face, nobody will face a similar tragedy. Yes, Hussein's tragedy is bigger than everyone's. Yes, Hassan al-Askari died, but his son was there. Family was there to take care of the last rituals. But come to Karbala, 61st year after Hijrah, Imam Hussein raises the istighasa. Nobody responds to Hussein. Imam Hussein is wahidan tanha akele. He's alone in the battlefield of Karbala. The enemy is chasing after Imam from all the directions. Har taraf se Imam ko gher diya hai. They're attacking and Hussein is alone until the time comes when he hears the sound, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainna, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu awfu bil uhud. Oh, those who believe, fulfill your covenants. Imam puts away his sword. As he puts his sword away, Imam is attacked from all directions. People throw arrows at him. They throw stones at him. All that is done to Imam Hussein until the time comes that Hussein falls from the zeen to his floor and to the ground. When it comes to Zameen, Imam ﷺ is laying there, just a little bit of life remaining in him. And there Shimr says to one of his workers, go finish Hussein off, cut off his head, sever his head. When he comes, he wants to sever the head of Hussein. His hand is starting to shake, he couldn't do so. They asked him why. He said, because when I looked at the eyes of Hussein, I saw Ali ibn Abi Talib. And then he sent Sinan. Sinan came forward. He wanted to do the same thing. He couldn't do so. His hand started trembling. He came back. Shimon said, I will have to finish Hussein. He comes close to Imam Hussein, places his knee on the chest of Hussein. Imam sees him and he says, Oh Shimr, laqad irtaqaita murtaqan azima. You have placed your knee, you placed your foot on the very high place. And this is the place where Rasulullah used to hug and kiss. this Imam Hussein that is turned upside down or backwards. Here, Shimr wants to sever the head of Hussein. Zainab could not see. She climbs up the Zainabiyah. All she could see is that Shimr is severing the head of Hussein. She says and cries out, "Oh Shimr, be gentle. My brother is hungry and thirsty for 3 days. Hussein is martyred. Askari is martyred. Hassan Mustafa is martyred. Matam Hussein."